Okay, I'm going to run 800 by 600 on the screen because I really like the idea that the bars are fat. And I was unable to get the candles in MetaTrader fatter, so I built a fatter candle. But these are kind of candles. The background should probably be a better color. But this is that taupe that they're talking about. This new taupe color. Yeah, this here is the trend line that this guy drew. Now, this guy that I made fun of last weekend, telling people that he was just so tired, but he's going to show somebody his setup, and he got caught in the classic trap of thinking that once the trend line breaks, it's just going to tumble. And he says it's going to take all this garbage downside. And the 4-hour chart, he's basing his... Now, I go back and I did a little forensics there. I was a little bit wound up, I think, when I did the video, so I wasn't paying attention too much. But you see what he was thinking. You can see what people are thinking. Oops. Didn't want to do that. You can see what people are thinking inside these. When you see them, they explain it to you. Explain it. I gotta get a new mouse. Baby just giving up. He had this trend line drawn just like this on the wicks. And he explicitly said, you can go back and watch this video from, I don't know, last Australian video. Apparently a bunch of people watched it, unless it's just been fed to a robot or something. I don't know. And if I link to his, I don't know if there's a backlink, like there's, you know, it's talk, it's a two-way street. I don't know how that works. So he drew this trend line here on the wicks, and he said if the 1 hour closes below that, he explicitly said add to your shorts. So he was going to get short on that last leg of the down thing, which I thought was so ridiculous. And regardless of the trend, you are at the round handle. You cannot deny this fib stuff is for the birds, man. Even the birds wouldn't eat it. My birds are really picky here. I spoiled them. And I fed the birds for a little bit because I was kind of entertained. You know, it was nice out. And I felt, God, am I hurting Mother Nature? Because I'm actually enabling these birds to just pig out without having to work for it. And I'm probably actually destroying Mother Nature in my do-gooder capacity. And I don't think I'll have to go. Somebody wanted me to go. People invited me to this meeting. It turns out everybody at the meeting is younger than me, and they're all liberals. They're all flaming liberals, and I just can't hang. So I had to bow out. So anyways, the guy in the video said, if it closes below here on the 1 hour, add to the shorts. So what happened there? It closed below that on the 1 hour, and then he put this other line in for people to help him, like if you need help. And so here's the top become a bottom rejection of that. Here's the trap at the so his trend line was going to get trapped here, a classic a breakdown trap, but it's at the round number. This is a 10 pip grid. These little bit it's a 20 pip window there, so he's looking to make 20 pips on the way down. What he didn't say in the video was he should have said was, when the market closes down here, place a sell limit at the last known bottom he had picked up in the breeze, or just sell the next bar that goes up, or start putting sell stops in. He would have made money. He would have made his money there. But guess what? This thing's at the end of its... This is like Hillary Clinton, you know. This thing's at the end of its life. You got to face it, you know. Look at this tumble down here now on just this simple trend line drawing on closing prices without wicks. Look at this perfect trend line. I mean, this stuff doesn't get more perfect than this. You almost feel like you shouldn't take the trade because the setup's too perfect. You ever had that feeling? So I used to get spooked out by the, you know, like, this can't... Really? Am I the only one seeing this? What? It's this hard? Is this... Really? So there's this trend line break, which is the big kahuna, right? Well, look at all the other trend lines. The attempts at getting the party started to the upside would be, here's a failed break, retumble. But where does it retumble at here? Look at this tumble zone. Right at that trend line retest top on the 1 hour. You gotta be there for it, or you can have your sell limit up here, and that's a 10 pip grid here. This is, or maybe it's, man, that's 10 pips. So here's a big 100. Now, the next trend line you could have drawn for the hope for the bulls to punch to kill this downtrend would have been right here, right? You break out, you go for it, but where does it come to? Within about 10 pips it comes to here. So if you just sell limits to the last known bottom, you always have the last known, not way back in Stapletonville. these people are living so far. They're like cloud traders. They're just, I don't know how they do it, honestly. I couldn't wait for this thing to retrace. And the guppy, I did the wrong title on my last video. I called it the euro, but it was the guppy and the euro against the yen. It's because the yen's on fire. And when stuff's on fire like this, it's actually more predictable. If a market's slamming down for no apparent reason, there is no reason. It's nothing but inventory. The market stalled out and went sideways too long, and you ran out of interest on either side of the market. And then the market goes down, and all of a sudden the interest goes up because people are like, wow, you know what? Hey, I've been waiting forever to get it at that price, or I've been waiting forever to get the fuck out of this trade that I'm underwater in. So that's why the tops become bottoms, because the people that, it's a human nature that people want to be even. At least this is what my dad told me when I was growing up. You know, you want to come out even. Like, in other words, on your last day on Earth, you're like, yep, finally finished this bitch. I'm last thing off my bucket list. You know, then you're dead, right? The perfect climax. You know, and that's really, you know, hey, we're all waiting for this fucking thing to get the party started. If you want it to go up or if you want it to go down. But, you know, the idea that you're going to put out, that you're going to tell people like, hey, you know, join my service, and I'm just going to, like, you know, I just put hair gel in, you know. So I guess, you know what, if you look like Stapleton or you look like this guy, people are going to sign up with you, right? Like, nobody's going to go to some ugly hooker. It's not going to happen. They're not getting work. Guys aren't getting, I don't know, American Gigolo was the only hope for a guy. I guess if you worked out and you look like Richard Grier, you totally, you know, hey, you know, you have to beat them off. You have to get like a stick to keep the women from pawing you to death and hurting you. But yeah, these setups here, I mean, here's a double bottom becomes a top. This is child's play. This is out of the gate here. This is his entry. He should have said, well, you know what, the next time it goes down, when it starts going up, sell into it. And did you hear him say that we're in a... He goes, you can make 50 pips on the upside, but don't forget, you're trading against the trend, buddy. It's better to make 20 pips. Listen to the logic. It's better to make 20 pips on the downside because you're going with the trend and you're following your system and I'm in the cloud than it is to realize that this motherfucker's done going down. So here's your internal triple top becomes a perfect baby bottom. Oingo boingo, right there. You can't miss this stuff. Well, you can't. And they just keep drawing this line over and over again. So this is more confirmation that we just took out this quadruple top. Now you're going to hang in there. See, now you could hang in there. I wouldn't add to it. We could fly back into here right now. So this strategy now is to buy in pullbacks right here. Just put a crop in. Don't worry about it. It's probably going to hit, you know what? Just keep on hitting the button. You just don't, it's like every time you load an order here and it doesn't fill, it's like Russian roulette. So, you know, if you're going to put a 4-hour order in like this right here, right now, and you just walk away from this and go, yeah, you know, for the next 4 hours, I'm exposing myself to a whole $5 of risk. Well, another hour goes by. The market's plunging like a whore. You could drop the same script. This is just, I think this is just getting in, I don't know if these are all the same size ratios on this, but, you know, it wouldn't matter, right? You just, that's the thing. That's the hard part. Like, are you better off hand placing orders? Probably, because you're going to think about it. If you wanted to go long here, you would have known this morning that this top, you're looking for a pullback into it. So it actually pulls back and overshoots the runway by about, like if you exactly had your buy limit here this morning, so into this session here where we probe the new lows. And in fact, this is where I buy. Actually, I'm always coming out in front here and buying. So I'm buying this whole thing in, right? Now, some of these are scalps to get out, but if you had missed this big blast up here, you still could have put the buy limit here, and they came back here and they plunged even deeper and they filled you. Now, your stop was here, but this is something you can tell people. Listen, when you see this top, put an order there. When you see this bottom, put a sell limit there. Now, do you see how this failed? Like, all the sellers came in here, they scalped it, You see how they scalped that? This is a 1 hour chart. So inside here, there's a 5-minute triple top or a 3-minute chart. Looks beautiful, right? You're like, look at this top. It looks like, you know, you're just licking your lips going. Now, once you get used to seeing that these setups are not a trick, that the market's not tricking you, what it is this guy had a desire for the market to go down. And he says, this is what I expect. This is what I want to see. If you have anything you want to see, this is like going to the bar and trying to pick up some girl. And you're like, well, I want to see some blonde. Guess what? They're all brunettes, but they're smoking hot. Like, really, are you really going to take yourself away from reality? So that you're living outside of reality. This is the problem I have with the Gartley things. They look gorgeous. I mean, it's really like, hey, you know what? And if you put up in a pastel color, I'm already like, hey, how much? Let's get some extra money. This looks like a great trade. Like, but it's not. You can't take these. You just have to go with what's really going on. And what's really going on is, it's just a big choppy mess. And there's a fight, and then somebody ends up with the knife, and then they run the other way. So that's the pivot. But we don't know how far they're going to... Well, we kind of know that it's going to cave in. The market's got to cave in on itself someplace. It's either got to go up into a vacuum that's been formed or down into a... If it's been going up too long, it's going to have to get punished. We don't know how long it's going to keep going. And on the... You can kind of do a price pulse projection. You can build a channel, but some of these channels go on. I mean, I remember drawing the first channel and thinking, God, this is going to just literally keep going down this channel like some type of... And you almost don't trust the next trade because you're thinking, well, this is just too good to be true. It really is going to go down at a pace that's a zigzag pace that actually, on closing prices only, of course, fits in to that breath. But they used to call that the breath of the market. So the market has a breath, obviously, and there's a recovery from the other session to session because it's an auction. When it goes way too far and there's nobody left in the room to bid on it, when the bidders come back the next time, they're reassessing it based on the fact that they're like, you know what? I noticed that the people that bought into that, they're already up in that trade. I want in. So when they put their orders in with their stupid stops, the market comes back, fills that, and the people are like, oh, see, I was right in the long run. Now, this guy's supposed to be selling up here, he said in his video. But this is the whole thing against trend trading, even though it's contradictory, of course, because you can make money trend trading, but you got to realize that you're always getting in on the smash and grab of that trend. So even if you had a perfect channel drawn or you did your projections off of these lows, and you're like, look at this thing just keep nailing it. Like after you have this first hit, you're like, okay, buy. Okay, buy. I mean, for the bounce, right? Or cover your short, get the fuck out, get ready to sell. So if this was your channel going down, and this is just like Tinker Toys. Now, if you zoom out any more than this, it's pointless. I don't get why people do that. Now here you would have a hedge on, but you're going into the Asian session. It's just high probability we're going to slam back. So I put in the 15 minutes, and this is all. Actually made this one completely. It buys every 5 pips. That's a 5 pip grid. I think that first one. But 5 pips. So that's so I'm wrong about this whole how many pips here, but see, this is even a tighter window, for God's sake, right? You're only risking about 7 to 10 pips here, because if the spread got kind of gnarly for a while there, you didn't get filled on that. This bottom didn't quite get filled, so you really had to be a little more aggressive and sell a retest of this top also. But people, they don't want to think in terms of, oh, you mean how many orders do I get out there now? Well, you just create a pallet of like 20 orders with a spectrum of 10 to 20 pip stops. And you got 10 sells and 10 buys. And you just place them out there like you're playing chess. You just place all your, well, you got like a garden, right? But you got a 4-hour garden, you got an 8-hour garden. You're just mining for, if you're going to swing trade it, you're just going to be buying 30 to 40 pips deep for no apparent reason. Literally for no apparent reason. And since this is a 5 pip grid, then this is even less risk than I thought. Like if you started buying your first low here and your first low here, You're already up on this trade. If you bought this whole thing down, but I'm not saying buy 5 yards on each thing with, you know, $100 in your account. You can be like buying 1K, 2K, 3K, but say you got a stop every 5K. So maybe you got blown out of one of these, but you picked up the last 3K, right? And the ratios are such that you're going to get out here. So you're getting out right now. The days, if you got in on this classic saucer bottoms over and over again, the stupid ass pattern, like, come on, people. Why doesn't Stapleton just say to you, dude, bottom, top, no sellers come in, total failure, go the other way. On a volatility system, we're in a 5 pip range here. This thing's going to probably pop up, trap these guys up here, rip it back, tumble through here. We're all going to get in here later at fair value. Duh, if it happens. But we're not going to put orders down in Disneyland. Like, are you kidding me? Who are these people? The fuck is that on the chart? Are you serious? Like, look where you're on the daily. Look at these trend lines on the daily. They're insane. People are on the daily and then they shift to the 1 hour. They're like, well, where do I get in? Oh, let's drill down to the... Dude, if you're on that, you got to trade that. If you're living on the 4 hour world, you haven't even got a place to get in yet. Here was your bottom became a top within 5 pips here. So you didn't quite make it on this one either. But here's your, if you're going to trade the doji bot, which is just put a hedge on every time you got a doji, like an idiot, you're in here, right? Same thing here. You're short. You can't see this little black doji down there. Here, another double doji. So you just go, right, with the flow here. You get trapped for 5 pips on the breakout here, but here you clean up. Clean up. Of course, this presupposes that you put in take profits that extend down there, and you got the patience to hang through that down ride. The problem, like, you have to presuppose a lot of stuff. But yeah, I see what this guy's aiming at. We can all see what people, but we have to have the other. Bill Williams, who's a successful trader only because I don't think he really gives a fuck. He just goes, oh, well, if I'm wrong, I'm going to go with the other direction. In other words, if this isn't really going to diverge here and isn't going to turn around, then just, you know, go the other way. But if you take it personally that you've decided what the market should do and what it shouldn't do, and it's just going to go down here, and, you know, this is really not good approach. Just because you've got so much invested in the prediction of it. And this is the problem with the fucking Garley shit. You can't, you blow your brains out with that stuff. Here's his insurance line that guy was drawing from that last video. But yeah, I mean, that line's important, but what's more important is that the people that bought, they're getting out about right now into this doji here, which on this 4 hour is the pivot that's way back here. It's a well-known disputed price for some reason, 75.70. And here's the reason why you wanted to sell up in this thing. See, now this would be, if he would have drawn this, I'd say, dude, beautiful, perfect, right? Perfect. You know, for 2 entries, it's perfect. It was a sell here. This became in a non-horizontal way. Support became resistance, and once again, the problem is that unless you're a bank and you don't trade with stops, like if you just literally trade by the clock and you don't trade with stops, and he claimed he didn't trade with stops on swing trades, you just sell here, or you just have a sell limit there because, and you've got one here too, so you actually captured that whole window up there. You got one here because of this last known, the apex of that triangle, dead lines to that. People are cashing out here, but I'm going to be buying all the way down here. Next vault of orders, I don't think we're going to make it there. So I'll start buying from here all the way to here. And if these things last, whatever, sellers are probably going to come in up here. What do you think? You think anybody would sell up there? And if you do a trajectory, then the next supposed inflection point, you'd pick an internal low like this. This was the the first trendline break that becomes resistance here, and this is the kind of the, if you draw from peak to peak, if you draw off of this peak, this is more like a Gann fan. If people are in the Gann fans, same idea as Fibonacci. You're just picking degrees. The problem is with the Gann fan, same problem with Fibonacci. It's a fixed number. It's not what's really going on. And here's the support for the bulls. Now they're all giddy because they're like, see, trend lines do work. And yeah, they're geniuses for right now, but we could retest that line. Anyways, this seller's going to come in here too. Double bottom, right at the round handle. Kind of strange. Kind of strange that the market peaked out here at the round number, and then it blew through and it found support. I mean, is this the dumbest game you've ever seen? You know, after you look back on these charts, you're just like, well, the only thing in the past preventing me from making money with this style of trading was I just couldn't. Once I figured out where the market was going to go, once I could see the traps, I'm like, can we just get there already and trap these people and get it over with? That my impatience level only went up more now that I figured it out in some regards. So I guess the cure for that is to just trade wider on more pairs. So you're like, okay, well, I got a buy limit sitting here at this, and I got a buy limit sitting here, right? Now, I didn't quite get filled on that, but I'm willing to buy this whole window, and maybe you got to stop down here. But you are literally up, 70 pips on this thing today, just from placing your order at a round number. Now, does that make any sense to anybody that's, well, you got a degree in finance. You need a degree in finance to trade this stuff. It's very complicated. These markets, I'll tell you what, Forex is rigged. I mean, listen to these people. You just kind of you just gag a maggot is what it does. Maggots that are watching their videos are they're hurling into some, maggot can, whatever they use for their kitchen. It's like, what, are you kidding me? And then here's where the next possible inflection point is. But we still got to wait for it to get there. That's the problem with this. So here we're coming into this window now. A bottom becomes a double top, but we still got to trounce these bulls. We've still got to come back. Now, if this is where you go to the 1 hour and you say, that's all well and good, but don't forget about this last known top. Probably going to have to come back there maybe tonight. I don't know, maybe news comes out and they shoot it down in here. So if you lay a grid in like this, like say you've only got $100, you put one case in like that, those are 8 hours. Then you come back with the 12 hours. Then you come back with the 1 hour orders, or maybe this is 4 hour orders here. And here's your 2 hour orders. And then you've got like it depends how much time you want to spend coming back and pressing buttons, but every hour you could drop a script that literally buys every 5 pips all the way to Memphis, and it just keeps on, and you just keep, every time it goes dipping, you just get in. So the stock market pulled back, and we got a top bottom in this S&P 500. And so what do you think is going to happen to this thing now? You think the dollar's going to get spanked? I think so. They can't raise interest rates. They've got this Hillary walking around, falling down. Everything's a mess, and it's just hilarious. What a world. You would have never guessed. So here, if this was a 4 hour order, that would make sense. And then this is the 3 hour order, right? But you definitely want to be getting in, I would say, I would put a buy limit here for sure, just based that this is the last known pivot in here. Just if you're super conservative, just put 2 standard lots on these handles with a stop down here, and just hope for the best. Put your stop down here, 2 standard lots. Yeah, pull one here too. If this killer top bottom, we could revisit that. But it looks to me like last known top. We're lucky if we get back to here. So the 1 hour. Whole different story. You go to the 4 hour, it kind of this is why when you see a bunch of orders placed on your 4-hour chart, you're going to think, man, that's too aggressive. But look there's a reason for these orders. They're based on previous structure. And it's just that simple. And here's the last. Now we spend quite a bit of time down here and even get a retest right around that handle. This is a 5-pip window. I'm buying down here. This is where I have a buy stop. The moment they go lower, I definitely put buy stops in at these bottoms because this will be the pivot going back. And it's actually, if it works out, if it's a real pivot, it should blow through it hard because it's completely, they're cleaning out all the stops that the robots have here. So if you look at the 5-minute chart during this moment in time when it actually cuts through that, it's pretty vicious. But look, they come back to this top and pick you up. You don't have to chase this thing. You made just as much money. The guy that bought here, so if you bought, say down here, this bottom, if you rode this up and you scalped out, you could have just got right back in. So it's 75.33. This is 13 pips apart. You know, this is just going to be easy. Another high probability thing is if it does slam down, if you're going to do this momentum trading, you're looking for the market to come flying down into this line again. But here's the trend line to test. So this would be the perfect setup right now. We come back to this literally painfully obvious trend line. At the same time we're reaching this point. If we're at this point by here, now this is out in front of time about 2 hours. You got to get there, so it could take a while to get to here. So if it gets to here, it's going to be more looking like this top is the one that's you got to be about 5 pips up. So if we tumble, if we come out, I don't know if there's news coming out. It wouldn't matter because if they pulled it to here and even broke that trend line, it wouldn't bother me. I would still get in here all the way down. This is why you can't. This is why that guy got trapped on that trend line, because he says, well, you know, if it closes below that, then I'm gonna, yeah, but what if it doesn't, right? What if this never looks back? And it becomes, if you copy this line over and create a pitchfork, so now this is your envelope window, maybe it only comes back into this for your entry. It only comes back into, say, here. And it just barely, maybe it's just this top. 10 pips to go there. But the volatility breakout people right now, their robots are gonna go long here as soon as this thing breaks out here. But it's typically a trap in Asia. So I feel better about, so every 15 minutes I'm going to be dropping this order here. That's a 15 and this is a half hour. So I just keep dropping those over and over again. And then of course, if I hand placed orders down here on these white ones, I wouldn't place them all in the same spot. Right now, every time I hit that, unless the market moves, it's going to lay those in the same spot. But those are fine trades. But ideally, you want to get in so the market, when you catch a falling knife, which you're really doing on pullbacks here to try to get, so you're not chasing this thing. When it pulls back, you just are getting filled in like a bed of feathers. Each feather is the order, so the market comes plunging in. It doesn't bottom out, which doesn't blow out your master stop. And then you let it just do its thing. And that's why inside this bank, some of these orders need to be, you know, if you really have 100K you want to trade, Some of these are just scalp to make 10 pips, and some with a 5 pip stop. And some of these orders are like this to make this with this stop. But it's got to, ideally, each stop and each entry is a different price. Otherwise, you defeat the purpose of what you're really trying to do is catch a flying knife with 100 fingers, right? You have 100 1Ks, you have a standard lot, but you're not going to, they're going to chop off 13K and they're going to shear you, like a whatever. But you want to be in 50K for the move, right? So if you are only in 13K here, say only pick up 5K into this top, it turns out that we come back to here and you're like, oh man. Then you start to troll for the 15-minute guys here. If you don't get that, then you're looking at another thing where you're going to have to trade on the clock. If we're back to this thing and we're dead in the water here, you're just going to buy with a stop, of course. Not like that guy said, just, you're so sure yourself, you're just going to, stops. So for other people. But of course, end of the world stop, right? At least put a 300 pip stop on there just in case, right? Just in case somebody, you really think if they shot the president of any country on this planet that any of these currencies couldn't just take off like a rocket? That is completely preposterous. That they don't have, I don't know what this guy was telling people, and they're managing some fund. Well, hopefully they've diced the account up into little accounts, so when they blow up their account, they're only losing 500 because they can expose their whole account, even to a small position. What you think is a small position. Oh, I'm only in 10K. Dude, the market just moved 1,000 pips in 40 seconds because they just killed the president of the United States. You don't think these markets would come unwrapped? Come on. So, anything can happen. And every day is another drama. And the stuff you can't believe happens. You're like, why did the people that are following these moving averages and stuff has such great expectations that they're a trend trader and they're a do-gooder. They're like these liberal kids that I talk to that, they're completely brain dead. They think money comes from space or something. You could just wish it up. We're just wishing on a star. Haven't you heard that song? But yeah, I don't know. You're born into a technological age, and here you got the ability to put a Gartley pattern on MT4 or whatever have you, Ninja Trader. Man, I want Ninja Girlfriend. That's what I want. I want girlfriend to come home and, we have to wrestle a little bit. But Ninja Trader, I don't know. You can't run the scripts. So if you go to sleep at night, you can't hit that button and just go, I'm gonna go take a power nap and come back and I'll be up in the trade. So, the idea that you're gonna miss out on 70 pips here or 50 pips here because, it's in a downtrend. So it's in a downtrend, huh? Well, yeah, I guess so. If you call this a trend, you missed your entry here. We can all agree that if we didn't get in here at this last Bobby, we kind of fucked up. And even the trend line, the conservative trend line, how long did you think we were going to keep up that pace? This is the third hit on that trend line. Did you really think? I don't know what world that guy's living in. But we need people like that, I guess, to have a market. Not everybody's going to agree, and not everybody's going to, he was right out of the gate here. He got us 20 pips, but he said right in the video, why would you want to make 50 pips and be going to trade in the wrong directions? But this is the place. This is it's almost like, well, there's a money map here. There's a map of where the market's been, but it's a train that literally can turn on a dime and start backing up. You don't see that. You just don't picture that. When you get on the highway, you don't see people going up the wrong ramp. Most people are going along with the flow of traffic. Everything's great. And it's the upsets. This is where all the money's made in the upset. And this is why, you go to horse race, right? You go to the track, you're betting the long shot. Now, well, you're a gambler. And this is why people won't trade the news, because they think it's gambling. But not if you change your sizing and spacing of orders, it's the same game. It's just a different width. So in other words, you're playing football. Instead of a 100-yard line, there's a 1,000-yard line now. But it is difficult. I guess that's the thing, right? So, but shouldn't you be more focused on expanding your range of pip, being able to psychologically trade $10 stops, in other words, a 100 pip stop on a 1K and a 10 pip stop on a mini. So I'm still risking $10. But I think that's people get fixed with a certain amount of money with a certain amount of pips, and they've got this locked in their head, and they're on that. So even though but see, the time that they spent playing around with these Gartleys and all this stuff, they could have just drawn a simple trend line like this and just walked away from the thing and said, that's just how it is. So you want to sell on the break of this trend line? You see, they trapped you here. Sure, it broke, but guess what? It didn't follow through. So you have to redraw it, and you're like, oh, see, they broke it. They broke the trend line. It didn't follow through. And then they finally went down. And you're like, wow, maybe I should have drawn the trend line. This is a 4-hour chart, though, right? So maybe I should have drawn a trend line like this, and I should have gone short. And I love when people say shit like, here's where you sell. And I'm like, wait a second. So you just are babysitting this chart, and you're like, okay, we're about to break the trend line, sell at the market. Or did you put a sell limit somewhere? No, you put a sell stop in. I mean, how did you get into this trade? You go down to the smaller time frame. Okay, so you got in here? Well, not really, because I wasn't there. I had to get in on this pullback to the double top. Okay, well, you read these textbooks, and they'll say, well, you sell here at the break of the trend line. Well, I saw the break of this trend line here, and I got trapped. Thanks a lot. So, isn't it better to think outside of normal convention? And if you really wanted to sell this thing, shouldn't you have been starting to sell up here at the round number for the next 100 pips and write it down to here, say? Use this as your confirmation. Look, they're testing the trend line. If buyers don't come in, I'm going to hold my shorts that I sold up here. You're short before the collapse. Not to mention, if you've got and you don't need a robot for this, but if you just keep placing stupid ass sell stops, every time you get a higher, you're already short this thing before the stupid trend line break. Fuck these trend lines. You got to sell limit at this top because there's a retest trap. Plus you sold here. So you started selling here every hour. You sell limits up there. You had sell stops riding behind. You're 30% in on each technique. Kablamo, you could get the hell out here. This is supposed to be the top that becomes the bottom, and we're supposed to find support here. Oh, didn't happen. This was the top that came by before. What happened here? No. You're supposed to hold here. No. And you could just have gotten out and scalped it to here, and you'd have been up on every ticket because your first sell is here, right? You ride that all the way through the floor here and go, you know what? I think they're going to crush these guys. And you could have even started buying into that a little bit, going, I think we could bounce, and maybe you got hammered there, but you can't wait for confirmation on this stuff. It just doesn't work. Okay, now I'm looking for the pullback now. So now I'm going to put in the half hours and just let that thing go. Anyways, that's my Australian dollar update, and the old trap trick on the 4-hour trend line wicks. And it took me a while to figure out what this guy was thinking. But mind you, he was going way back here into Disneyville. He was way back in here with his trend line. Bizarro. I think the closing trend line, like if you did on a close, it would look like this. So here is why you would want to buy here. See, in other words, the wicks are traps. If you were really going to trade like that off the trend line, or the see how the perfect fit there, and this is the perfect hit here. Here's where they trap them, even on close. And that's what he said. If it closes below that, go short. But in the bigger picture, you're in an uptrend, so I don't know why he was saying that. Or you're not an uptrend, you're just sideways. You're at the bottom of this range. But you're kind of drifting up. And if you go to the daily, another thing is that these trend lines line up beautifully on the daily to the 4 hour here. So the sell argument is that you're breaking this thing and you're going to tumble down. That's going to become resistance. But that has to happen now. Right up in here. So I think we clean house. I don't know if news is coming out. But that's my my view of the prediction market. We're predicting the market.